Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rocky Mountain Live Peak Performer Series. Today, I got very special guests. These are our first guests that are not actually from the Rocky Mountains. Today, I have indie band from Vancouver, Uncle Strut here. Welcome to the show, boys. Happy to have you here.
Thank you,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Stoked.
All right, so Uncle Strut is touring Western Canada in support of their upcoming album, Home at Last, and they'll be making stops this month in Rocky Mountain towns Canmore, Cranbrook, and Fernie. So we look forward to welcoming you to the mountains. And I got to tell you how I came across your music here, boys. So as soon as I started the Rocky Mountain Live Instagram, like while I was doing my business planning, I got your paid ad for your song Quarter Mile. And I loved everything about what you guys do. The music is amazing. The vibe you project is super chill. Your branding and merch are really great. And I thought to myself, man, these Aussie dudes are gonna crush it in the Rockies with all the people running from down under. And then I realized that you're just Vancouver boys that born and raised West Coast Canadians. So, but you remind me of Aussie bands like Sticky Fingers, Lime Cordial, Royal Otis, and others. So, does this happen a lot, this confusion?
Yeah, this happens all the time. You'd be surprised actually how much it does happen. Well, maybe you wouldn't be surprised since you thought the same thing, but especially Tyson, our singer, he sort of puts on this fake Aussie accent, so everyone thinks he's Australian.
Yeah, after living there for a while, it just I think I kind of like goofed around with the accent for so many years, and it rubbed off, and it definitely comes out after I've spent some time with Australians or had a couple beers or maybe just in regular day-to-day conversation, but it
It's
definitely
it's not
comes.
even it's not even so much of an accent. It's more of a drawl, man. There's a
Yeah.
certain drawl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the words get filtered through the mustache and come out Australian.
All right. Well, I still think you guys are getting a crush down here. So I'm looking forward. I'll be at your show there in Canmore in a couple weeks at the Drake. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys. But I got to ask, you guys lived in Banff, at least three of the four of you. And I ask all of our interviewees this. So how have the mountains impacted you as people and performers?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a really good question for us because, like you just said, the three of us lived in Banff, so the mountains have affected basically the entire band's trajectory and the fact that we even were able to get together because we all met there and the ski town thing. And yeah, so for Uncle Strut, it's sort of like the mountains, I guess, in a way, made the band possible completely.
Yeah, for sure. I was just talking about your style there. So you got the great branding down, and I love your musical style. And it seems to connect with the type of people who would live in the mountains or by the ocean like you are in Vancouver. So why do you think the residents and visitors of the Rockies are gonna love your music and your show?
Yeah, I think that the same thing that brings people to the mountains is the same kind of thing that brings people to the type of music we make. There's a certain type of freedom to it, certain type of adventure to it. Yeah, we seem to connect personally and musically with people that into those same kind of things, going into nature and hanging out in some little towns.
Speaking to that style, tell us about your main inspirations and influences that contributed to creating your musical style and how your band formed.
Yeah, so I mean, you kind of nailed it with the Australian vibe coming through. I think all of us really take a lot of inspiration from those Aussie bands, Sticky Fingers, Ocean Alley. Those guys are all our favorites. So we take so much inspiration from that and a lot of other things as well. But all of that coming together really helped us find our sound. And the band formed, like you said, we met in Banff. I'd say we were buddies, but kind of more acquaintances. We ran in different circles.
Hmm.
But after living there for a while, I hit kind of a standstill with music, and I wasn't really doing what I wanted to be doing with it. And moved to Vancouver, and I started writing a couple songs. And Quincy happened to move to Vancouver just a few months after me. And our old bassist Brendan, I was living with, who was buddies with Quincy, we decided to just go try to play a couple of the songs I wrote. And I think it was after the first jam, we were like, this is something pretty cool, man. Like, this isn't just buddies getting together and playing music. So we decided to just, you know, put the pedal down and really dive into it. And a year a bit later, Simon joined, and Simon really helped turn a page and helped us take it a little bit more seriously and gave us that extra push that we needed. And yeah, things are just looking up. Jasper jumped on at the right time, and everything's just moving in the right direction.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, everything is moving in a great direction for you guys. I just keep seeing you everywhere as I start to really gain my own grasp on the Western Canadian music scene, which I already knew pretty well, but I see you guys everywhere right now. So great job on that. And so you are obviously a band, but you obviously have each of your own musical style and influences. So why don't you all take a minute to introduce yourselves and who your favorite performers were for your disciplines and your instruments?
So my name's Jasper Shreds. I definitely am a big fan of the blues. I grew up on classic rock. Specifically, Jimmy Page was a huge influence in my teenage years. Something just electrifying, with his blues riffs, influences from folk music as well, and also just crazy performances. All the iconic things he did, from using a bow on stage to playing a double neck guitar. I would say Jimmy Page is one of my biggest influence growing up. And then, of course, you got all the others, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Hendrix, even, more modern guys too, like Eric Gales and John Mayer. I'm a huge music fan, but blues is definitely in my soul. So maybe that has something to do with, growing up in a small town by a train station growing up or something like that, or maybe the river as well. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely a part of me.
What is it with blues and rivers, man? There's so much of that shit.
I don't know. There's some sort of connection there, man.
Who wants to go next, man? I'll go next. My name's Simon. I play bass in the band. I didn't play bass up until about 2 years ago. So my kind of bass inspirations are somewhat new, I suppose. But as I've gotten more into it, like Paul McCartney is definitely the number one. Just taking the bass and making it more of a melodic instrument. Yeah, man, I don't even know the guy's name, but the bass player from Parcels as well. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Just like such like simple bass lines, but just like move songs so much. It's kind of like what I try to do when I'm writing things on the bass.
You do a great job at that, man.
Oh, thanks, Tarson. Still on probation, but I'm getting to the end now.
6 more months.
2 years in, buddy.
6 more months. You go ahead, Tarson.
Yeah, cool. I mean, a lot of inspiration. I grew up to classic rock as well, listening to AC/DC and Zeppelin and all the stuff my dad would always show me. I always wanted to be a guitarist when I got into music. And then after playing guitar for a while and starting to sing along, I realized that maybe I was a little bit more of a singer. And I don't know, I'm sure the guys can vouch for that. I really just fake it on the guitar. I get by enough though. But yeah, inspirations. Beatles are huge. Kings of Leon, the first 2 albums, huge inspiration. Yeah, those are probably the main ones, and Australian surf rock, like I said before. But yeah, that's kind of where it's gotten me.
Nice. I'm Quincy. I'm the drummer. Yeah, I didn't really start drumming seriously until I was about 19. I joined my first band in university in Ontario, and then after that band was over, went traveling for a bit, and then didn't really play drums at all until coming to Vancouver and starting the band with Tyson and Brendan. But I've always admired drummers. Some drummers that I kind of like think that I maybe play like a little bit. Nick Mason from Pink Floyd, Don Henley. They're both just like super steady players. They're not doing anything fancy. And Don Henley from the Eagles is also an inspiration, even more so because he does the singing at the same time, and I think that's really cool. Mitch Mitchell from Jimi Hendrix. He always stood out as just like having this crazy style and like this amazing skill, where he was almost like, everyone always talks about Jimmy but Mitch Mitchell's like up there in terms of like greatest drummers of all time as well. So yeah.
Those are all great answers, guys. I think we got a lot in common musically. I'm a guy who has Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd tattoos on the back of his legs that are matched with some Aussie bands. I got the Cat Empire and John Butler trio down there as well.
I'm
Honestly,
in.
I'll throw in some
Nice.
John
psychedelic
Butler's
rock,
great.
modern. And yeah, so if you guys, funny you mentioned the Kings of Leon's first two albums. Those are two of my all-time favorite albums as well. Have you ever heard of an Aussie band called The Beards?
No, I have not.
No.
Okay, we're gonna have to look them up. There used to be an awesome website called Balcony TV that kind of stopped after COVID, but it used to be all over the world, and bands would just go onto these beautiful balconies with a great backdrop. I kind of want to do something with Rocky Mountain Live eventually that kind of rips this off.
Top
But
of a mountain.
Beards, what's that?
Top of a mountain.
Yeah, well, yeah, on a big rock, right? So somewhere with a big mountain view behind you. So
A
I'll work
mountain really
on
is
that.
just a big rock,
But
isn't it?
the Beards, every single song the Beards ever did is about beards. And they have one called Shave Off This Beard. And they actually go on a balcony TV episode and they played Shave Off His Beard and they changed the last verse and they say there once was a band, their name was Kings of Leon, shaved off their beards and now they're shit. Yeah, those are
That's
definitely like
hilarious.
the first three albums, especially from Kings of Leon. First two I can cut it off. I can accept that, but I like the third one as well.
Third
But
one's great. Honestly, man, they're all great. Those are just like the big standouts for me. Third one,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
all of it's great, but yeah,
Dude, the first Kings of Leon album is fucking nuts, dude.
it's
So
crazy.
good.
Yeah,
So good.
young
Forget
man,
about it, man.
amazing. All right, so yeah, like to get up to the Kings of the Leon level or even the Uncle Strut level right now, you got to get some help along the way. So who are some musicians or businesses who have helped you along the way that you want to give shout outs to?
I definitely I'd definitely like to give a shout out to a friend and mentor of mine, Evan Amore. He's a local producer and hip hop artist as well. And he's kind of been like the the connection guy. He brought me under his wing like, 6 or 7 years ago now. And all the different artists that I've connected with over the years have been somewhere down the line because of him, and including our manager now, KC, and who's also helped produce our latest album. So shout out to Evan and KC, and then I'd also give shout out to a couple other local artists, Jade Monet, who's an amazing R&B singer. Me and her have some experience together playing, and of course Evan was a part of that, and also Cody Lawless as well. So me and KC and Cody, we had the pleasure of going on a European tour back in 2023, and that was very eye-opening and just an unreal roller coaster of an experience. So shout out to those guys. And Jay.
Yeah, wanna shout out Andrew Conroy, Flash Recording. He owns a studio in the city, and he's been charging the same rates for recording. I think for I don't know how many years, like 10 years or something. He charges $150 a day, and he could charge a lot more, but he wants to make recording affordable for new artists just starting out, and he's helped us a lot with advice and yeah, cheap recording to get us started. So shout out to him.
It's like
Um,
single-handedly keeping the Vancouver indie scene afloat with
yeah,
like people that can't pay for anything.
and his wife Nikki, who makes the best scones and popcorn for us. She's the best. Want to shout out our old bassist Brendan. He's got a band called Circle of Titans. They're like a progressive metal band. Those guys are doing their things. They've got some awesome music coming out soon. So, and also want to shout out our friend Manu, who let us rehearse in his shed for super cheap back when we first started, and helped us put on a couple of our bigger shows at the beginning to kind of get our name out there.
We are Rocky Mountain Live, so I got to know, what do you guys love most about performing live?
Oh man, so many things, man. Dude, there's like no better feeling being with your friends on stage, man. And especially like now that the shows are getting a bit bigger as well. Like we just went to the island this past weekend, and like going to a new place for the first time and just like meeting people that know you from your music is just like something that's like completely nuts. And people just come up to them and they'll share these stories and you'll play songs and they'll just know every word. Like, I feel like I know you. There's like this thing that connects everyone together. It's like the most special thing.
Yeah, it's a pretty surreal feeling. It's ever since I started playing music to have people sing words back to me that I wrote. And that happened for the first time over the weekend. So it's just a very surreal feeling with all that stuff going on. But yeah, like Simon said, playing with your buddies, we'd be playing music anyways, and it's just we're lucky that people want to listen to it. So it's a win-win for everyone. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And then you have these songs like Quarter Mile, for example, that like have this like very personal start, like come from whatever you're dealing with, and then you have the whole process of like writing it and then recording it and putting it out, and then like the final moment of like someone who you've never met like singing it back and like sharing the connection that they've made with it. It's like just so special.
Yeah, for sure. Those are great answers there. We were talking before he came on. I mentioned I used to work a bit with Elvis Presley from Victoria when I lived on Vancouver Island, and that's what one of their rappers would tell me all the time is that he'd come up to me sometimes after the show and be like, "Man, I really like working with you, just because like you can tell you're a fan too. Because like my favorite thing is when people are singing my lyrics back to me, and you're sitting there rapping every word with me." So yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. I love that. You've shared the stage with some great bands already. So you mentioned the Goo Goo Dolls, George Thorogood, Baby Jake, and Serena Ryder. So who are some of your dream artists you hope to share the stage with one day?
Yeah. I guess we've sort of spoken about our like favorite Australian bands and stuff. Like, I know for me, opening for Sticky Fingers would be crazy, just because like all these bands that you sort of like not grow up listening to basically, yeah, and like have these formative experiences, and then like to be able to open for a band like Sticky Fingers or for Ocean Alley or something like that would be crazy. Paul McCartney would be probably like the dream crazy one. Uh, Maybe not as likely, but gotta shout out Paul McCartney. Um, yeah, Mac DeMarco would be sick. Yeah, just like all these like awesome indie bands that have sort of shaped our sound in a way would be just so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shape the sound and like shaped your life, man. Like you grow up with these bands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. That's no truer statement than that. We all love music and they definitely music shapes our life for sure when you love music as much as everybody who makes music and works in the industry does. So, what are some Canadian indie artists that you want to see start a profile on our website and be covered on Rocky Mountain Live? Maybe hop on the show with us here for a Peak Performer Series.
Yeah, there's like so many bands from Vancouver that are now just starting to like make their way through the Rockies. Like our buddies Nick Stone are doing a tour soon. We'll put you in contact with them. Great guys, make fucking incredible music. We're going to Toronto and doing some shows with a band called Moondoggy. Not sure if you know Moondoggy. They're like we just had a little trip out to Victoria and we were playing some of them in the car. Man, they're fantastic. Cody Lawless, our buddy, our manager manages both of these bands, and he makes kind of like this child of like hip hop and indie rock slash Australian metal sometimes. It's like he would be great to get on here. We'll connect you with all of them.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love that. So, as your band grew, you released many great singles. Then in 2023, you had your debut EP, I Wish I Wasn't Scared of the Ocean. And now you've announced the release of your debut LP, Home at Last, with an album release show at the Hollywood Theater in Vancouver on May 31st. So, what do you hope for this album to do in your brand trajectory? And what does the future hold for Uncle Strut?
We want to blow up from this album, man.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was like,
You
oh, he's
don't
gonna
mince
say, I
words,
want to
man.
blow it. I want to blow it.
I want to blow up,
Don't
man.
know nobody, man.
I mean, yeah, all jokes aside, that really is the main goal for us to just keep getting bigger and bigger and playing for bigger audiences. And when you're releasing music and you're not really getting the results you want, it can be a little bit discouraging at times. And I mean, it's always fun, but you just want to keep growing and growing. And if that doesn't happen, you can be put down a little bit. But at the moment, with all the work we've been putting in and getting this team behind us and with us, we're starting to see numbers go up, everything moving in the right direction, and it's very promising that something good is going to happen. And we've never felt so confident with the music that we're making right now. Everyone's just we were not arguing, but trying to figure out what singles we were going to do from this album was a difficult process, and that's a pretty good problem to have if we're all super stoked about each song on it. Yeah, there's a lot of good things in the works, and the future's looking really bright with all these different shows across Canada. We're starting to flirt with the idea of heading over to Australia. Our music would fit really well over there, I think. And yeah, we're writing the best songs we've ever written, I think, and everyone's just super, super motivated. So we're very, very excited.
Yeah, for sure. You should be. Like I said, I love all your tunes. I look forward to hearing the full album. So here's another curveball question here. Uh, every album has a story to it. So whether it's a theme of the album or something crazy that happened during recording, what's something you want to tell people about this album before it comes out?
Home at Last is kind of like, I don't know. We've been, like Tyson sort of was talking about, we've kind of been working towards this. Maybe we didn't even know we were working towards this, but just working towards this feeling like everything was sort of falling into place and everything was feeling good. And we had the people around us that are pushing us in the right direction and the right people for this project. And that's why we named the album Home at Last, because we finally feel like we're in the place we want to be with this project. And we want all the people who listen to this album to feel, well, while they're listening to the album, to feel like we feel, and like everything is good and everything is okay. And that's sort of like the overarching theme of the album, Home at Last. So we hope that everyone who listens to this album gets an opportunity for those 30 minutes to feel like we feel right now, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. That's a very good answer. All right, so let's wind things down here. I ask everybody this at the end of our interviews here. So I told you about my plans for Rocky Mountain Live in the future before we hopped on this interview. You guys were one of the first bands from outside the Rockies to jump on the platform, and I really appreciate that. And I'm stoked to have you involved. So why do you think Rocky Mountain Live is an important project, and bands, venues, and other music professionals should participate by creating profiles and listing their events on the site?
Yeah, well, I think like this whole project, Rocky Mountain Live, is just so great for connecting, local bands and artists to different communities in different parts, especially in beautiful British Columbia and also Alberta and across Canada, right? And to the local scenes there. Um, I feel like one of the challenges we kind of had like setting up our tour was actually like discovering local bands that would complement our style. It's not an easy thing to just, scroll on Instagram for hours on end, like looking for bands in a certain city. So I think Rocky Mountain Live is like a great platform for that reason specifically. And I think every local independent band should sign up for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like this, to go back to the question that I answered before about like why people connect with our music from like mountainous towns or like smaller towns. It's like people just like to connect with music in general. And a lot of times when you're in a smaller town, you're kind of getting forgotten about by a lot of bands that are moving through and they don't really know that there is a scene. And so giving it this kind of like beacon to be like, there is like an actual flourishing scene in these small towns and give people a reason to go to them would increase the amount of bands that would tour, especially in Canada, because you just always feel like it's so far to like the major cities. So giving them a spot to go to between those towns would like promote more bands to tour and also promote more people to go and see live music at the same time.
I'd also like to just to add quickly, like on that note, Simon, that like um all these smaller towns and smaller communities, a lot of the people, they really do support their local bands there. Because they're not used to having big acts come through all the time. So it's, we kind of noticed that, in some of the smaller uh places and cities that we played, like just on the island and stuff like that, like people really come out and support local artists. Uh, More so, I would say, than in a big city where, you have superstars coming in through all the time. So there's definitely lots of opportunity in uh, these small communities and small, beautiful towns across Canada.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that answer. One thing I'm really hoping it helps a lot of local artists do is get in front of a lot of people from outside of the country or outside of these towns, because think of all the international and domestic tourism we have coming through the Rockies at all time, and nobody knows how to go and find everything that's here. So we're kind of a hub for that, and somebody could just stumble upon Uncle Strut, some Aussie coming in from the ski hills who maybe knows one of the bands that you guys want to play with in the future, might just stumble across Uncle Strut on Rocky Mountain Live and find their new favorite Aussie surf rock band who's actually from Vancouver, BC. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm hoping this helps people do. So yeah, I appreciate your guys' time today. You're great. I do think there's big things on the horizon for you guys. Like I said from the beginning, I love your music. You guys seem like really great guys, and I can't wait to meet you when you come to Canmore in the Rockies. So you guys have shows at the Drake in Canmore, Encore Brewing in Cranbrook, and Knox on Second in Fernie as part of the Spring Sessions concert series. So do you guys want to plug your social handles in your tour right now?
Yeah, Instagram at uncle.strut, Facebook Uncle Strut, Spotify Uncle Strut, TikTok I think is Uncle Strut. Hey Simon?
It's Uncle Strut. Yeah, no period, no dash, no nothing. Just Uncle Strut, baby. Come on.
Yeah, Instagram they needed us to put the dot, man. I don't know. But yeah, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we're also announcing like the second leg of the Home at Last tour next week. So I don't know when this interview is coming up, but it may be already announced by then. But so yeah, we're going to Ontario and Quebec and all kinds of fun stuff. So details coming soon, baby.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me here today. This is our fourth edition of the Peak Performer Series, and I hope to have you on a future episode once you come back through the Rockies.
Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.